Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be sharing a card using two stamp sets. I'm using the Sunny Day stamp set for my background, so I chose the two puffy clouds that have the flat bottoms, and I'm going to be stamping these on a piece of watercolor cardstock, so I am just using my powder bag to go over that to cut down on any static electricity. I'll go ahead and place the larger cloud on my clear acrylic block and then ink this up with some Versamark ink. I'm then going to go ahead and stamp my background. So I'm just randomly scattering these clouds onto the background. There's not really any rhyme or reason. You could add as many or as few clouds as you would like. So after I get that larger one stamped, then I'm going to go ahead and put on my embossing powder. I'm using the Hero Arts white embossing powder. Now I'm putting the embossing powder on before I stamp the smaller one, just so that I know where I stamped that larger one, because with the Versamark ink it's hard to see exactly where it was stamped, so that you don't stamp over it again. And then I'll go ahead and stamp the smaller cloud. And again, I'm just kind of filling in the areas where there is no larger cloud. You don't even have to add a smaller one if you don't like, but I just wanted to fill the background. And then I'll do the same thing, and I'm going to apply my white embossing powder. You just want to make sure that you get your entire stamped image covered with embossing powder. And then I'll go ahead and heat that with my heat tool to melt the embossing powder. I am going to be watercoloring on my background, so I took my Broken China Distress ink and put a little bit of that on my nonstick craft sheet. I'll then go ahead and squirt that with some water, just because I want to create that watercolor and really help the ink flow onto my cardstock. So I'm taking my paintbrush and I'm just coloring in the background with this blue. I'm not coloring in the clouds, so it's a little bit like it's resisting that, but I'm not coloring in the cloud part, so just the borders are helping me to color that in. So once I have that all colored in with the Broken China, I'm going to go in with the Chip Sapphire and add a little bit of that to my craft sheet, and then add some water, and I'm just going to put in some darker areas on my card. I wanted some variation so that it really looked like a sky background and wasn't just one color. So I want lighter parts and darker parts, and if it is a little too dark for you, you can always add more water, and that will really lighten up the color and help it blend better. So once I was done watercoloring, I set that aside to let it dry. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. I'm using the Thoughts and Prayers stamp set. I'm using the Thought Sentiment. And I am heat embossing this on a piece of vellum, so I'm using my powder tool once again, and then I'll ink up my stamp with the Versamark ink. I want to make sure that it's really covered in the ink and that it all stamps a solid image. So I'll stamp that onto my vellum. So before I apply my embossing powder, I'm going to stamp one more sentiment on top. It says, "You are in my." And I'll line that up and stamp it down. And then I'm going to cover this with the Hero Arts white embossing powder. And then I'll go ahead and heat that to melt all the embossing powder. So then I'm just going to fussy cut this out really simply. So I'm just using my scissors, and I'm leaving a border around the edge and just really loosely cutting that out. It's the easiest way to fussy cut any images out. If you do have like the Brother Scan and Cut machine, you could have this cut it out, or any of our stamps, since there are no dies. But I think this image is extremely easy to cut out because I'm doing it so loosely. Alright, so now it's time to go ahead and assemble my card. I have a piece of navy blue cardstock, and I'm going to attach my watercolor piece to that. And then I'll go ahead and adhere that piece down to my white A2 size card base. You want to make sure when you have a watercolor piece that you add plenty of adhesive to the back of it to prevent it from warping. And then to adhere down my sentiment, I'm using these clear foam squares. They're Cool Tack foam squares. And then I'll stick that down right onto my background. And then I'm going to take some of my Cloudy Day mix sequins and scatter these onto the card. They go really well with the Sunny Day stamp set. So it has the light blue, the dark blue, and the black or really dark gray sequins. So I adhered those down with my multi-matte medium, and I'm just pressing each of the sequins into place. I also did use a clear sequin from the Snowflake mix. And then to the top of my card, I'm going to add a little bit of the May Arts Natural Twine. So I'll tie that in a bow around the top of my card. I like to tie it in a knot first and then tie it in a bow. It makes it a little bit easier to handle the strings. And then I can go ahead and trim off the extra strings. And then I'm going to color in each of those clouds with my clear Wink of Stella glitter pen. It just creates a really subtle shimmer on each of those clouds. And it makes them really super sparkly and fun. I think the Sunny Day and Thoughts in Paris stamp set work together really well. I hope you guys can find some inspiration in this card to create your own sympathy cards, because I know that they're really hard to make, and I just think the cloud backgrounds and some of the sentiments in the Sunny Day stamp set work well with the Thoughts and Prayers set. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out the shop at mintdevilstudio.com for any of these supplies. I hope you guys enjoyed and will subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye everyone!